Hey, this is Roni Haskell over at Keller Williams, local realtor in the Charleston area. Today I'm here with Kimsey, who is with Hollifield Financial Group, and we're going to be talking about wealth building and real estate and also just life in Charleston. Today I get to have Kimsey Hollifield on the show. Thank you for being here.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so you are a financial planner by trade, right?
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that here in a minute and exactly what that means.
Yeah.
And kind of dive deeper into what that is. But really, we both help people create wealth and just do it in a little bit different ways. I in the real estate sector and you in financial planning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tell me what your company specializes in.
Well, we really specialize in people who are about to retire. So most of our clients are in their 50s, maybe like early 60s, and they've built up, their nest egg, and they're trying to figure out, can I retire? Do I have enough? Will my money last? And will my family be okay if I pass away, right?
Yeah.
And so we really help them set up a plan that gets them into retirement and through retirement, because it's a completely different ball game. When you stop working and you have to rely on what you have built.
Yeah. So you're not originally from Charleston. You've migrated to this area, same as me.
Everybody.
Yeah, I'm not from here either. I'm a Birmingham, Alabama girl, born and raised.
Yep.
Moved here back in 2002. Tell us about your journey moving to Charleston.
So I'm from Asheville, North Carolina. My wife and I met there when we were really young, and my whole family is from there. But when you're from Asheville, you vacation in Charleston. Like, this is where you go. This is like your happy place.
Yeah.
And so, we moved around a little bit for my job, and I was working for another company at the time. But, every time we got a free minute, we're coming down here, and we just wanted to live close to the beach, and so we moved down here. We've been here maybe, I think, 8 years.
Okay.
Man,
Moving to the beach.
I can't believe it's been 8 years, but we've been here probably like 8 years. And it's just, we've been to all the different areas. We lived in Daniel Island. We lived like right on the beach in Seabrook Island for a while.
Okay.
But we had our daughter 2 years ago, and when we're looking around at the different areas to live in, I love Summerville. I always loved it. And so we bought a house over here in the historic area and moved in like literally right before COVID.
Okay. All right. Well, and I too, when I moved to Charleston, I lived in downtown Charleston off of Meeting Street
Oh, that would be
in a
cool.
little tiny condo down there. And then I moved to Mount Pleasant. I moved to Park Circle.
Okay.
My first house I bought was in Park Circle. So I've run the gamut of the town as
Yep.
well. And although very nice parts and sectors of town, when it became time to think about starting a family, I too came to Summerville. Isn't that funny how it kind of works?
I say that Charleston has 5 or 6 different areas. Every area is really, really cool, like for different reasons
For
too.
different reasons,
But
sure.
if you go around, you're like, oh, this is great, I could live here. And then you go over, oh, I could live here.
Mm-hmm.
But Summerville it still has that like small town feel. I mean, driving from my house into your office, like it's like a winter wonderland, right?
It
Like
is.
there's a festival every single weekend, but you're still close enough to the beach, and you're still, you can go into downtown Charleston, and I think it's a perfect place, and I think we'll probably stay here forever.
Well, so we attend the same church.
Mm-hmm.
We met really. I introduced myself to your lovely wife. You've got a wife and a beautiful little girl who's 2, correct?
2, yep.
And then we ran into each other over at Coastal Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the network within Somerville really does work. It's a pretty tight-knit group around town.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go very far to find a friend.
No,
So.
you don't. No, you don't.
It's a really cool setup. Well, let's see. Charleston ranks as one of the top cities for people to live in, work in, and retire in. Mm-hmm. Why do you think that is? I mean, you work with a lot of people that move to this area. What is the attraction?
For people moving here, for my clients, they move here because it's, a lot of my clients are from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio. I don't know if there's anybody left in Ohio. Everybody just...
It's a big migration.
And we're seeing a lot from California as well. And I think they move here, number one, because it's a lot less expensive than New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. But then also the weather is great. When you get to be retired, I mean, heck, I'm 37, and I don't like... I moved here for the weather, but they don't want the cold winters anymore. It's cheaper, it's more friendly, and I think a lot of their for my clients, I can say I think a lot of their children and their family have moved away, and when and have chosen to live in the South. And I just think it's more friendly. Some people come for political reasons, but
it's got a
it's just
really
great.
strong food and beverage scene around Charleston.
Yeah.
Huge history scene. Lots to do. Big employers are here. So
That's true, yep.
if people are not at the age of retiring, maybe their family has moved here, and maybe they're moving here to be close to that family.
Yeah.
Big Coast Guard. You've got Boeing, Volvo, Mercedes-Benz. You've got MUSC. The health and wellness is huge in the area. So tons of people move here for work related as well.
Yeah.
Which I've heard many people over the years tell me, as I've helped them buy houses here, they've said, well, we've lived there during our military years, and now that we're retirement age, we want to come back and settle in Charleston area.
And, probably, like I can say that like we did, if you're in these other areas, like if you live in Ohio and you're saying, okay, we're going to go to the beach, you draw a line and you're like, okay, I'm going to come down to Charleston, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those people probably have those good memories. But we came because the food, the restaurants are awesome. And I love that we're getting some really good new restaurants here.
Here in downtown. Right in
Oscars is always,
backyard.
we've gone to Oscars for forever, but also Laura, and there's a new Italian restaurant.
That's
Halls
right.
is coming here. I think that we're going to end up in Summerville with a lot of these really great restaurants.
Yeah.
And we don't have to go down to Charleston. We can just come literally
That's
walk
right.
down.
Azalea Bar, just for be able to grab a quick drink. It's really a nice scene.
That's a nice place.
We've got a lot of these local regional kind of guys that are moving into what we call our backyard here in Summerville. So it is a nice scene that we get to benefit from. Let's go back to talking about kind of how your business, as these people migrate to the area, and you are in a business structure that helps people in their later years as they're wanting to live that big life that they're moving to Charleston to create. They've got to have some resources, financial resources, to help support that big life. So I thankfully, the very young age, when I started in real estate, I was 22, and I had a mentor at the time who really took a lot of interest in me and really dove into my world pretty deep. And at that time, he told me, Roni, put as much into your retirement. At the time, I was an employee, so it was a 401 plan, right? 401k. And he said, the company's matching, and so pour as much money, max it out every year. So I did, and it has really lined me up for great placement at this stage in life. But now that mentality has continued. Now I'm a self-employed, and so I have a set plan, and I still do. I still try to max that out every year. So thankfully, again, I had a strong mentor. Didn't really parallel myself with a financial advisor until later on. And I think most people don't, right?
Yeah.
At a young age. I mean, what is your experience with that?
My experience is that younger folks, they think they don't, one of two things. They either think they don't have enough money to work with somebody, or maybe they're like getting started a little bit later than they think they should, and so they're a little embarrassed by it. And which is not the right way to be, right? Like, you just do what you do, and if it's a little later, if it's early, it doesn't matter. But I think that is a bit of a hesitation. And then also I think that nowadays, especially, you have, like Robinhood, and young people are into crypto and all of these different things that are maybe like a little sexier than putting money into a 401k and just getting the match,
Yeah.
And so I think some are going, that's fine, if it gets them thinking about it, and gets them going.
Yeah.
But I think for young people, that's probably the two things why they don't necessarily work with somebody, of their own.
Because they're getting online and finding resources that are telling them, other ways to invest. Is that how to invest?
Yeah, I think when you think about you can earn 5, 7, 10% per year, and you can do that if you invest in the market and you invest properly. But if you think about, okay, everybody wants to say, if you're 15 or 20 or 25, a lot of these people are saying, well, I can put my money in crypto and I can be a millionaire in 3 years, and that normally doesn't actually have. Actually, I read a stat the other day that 80% of the crypto accounts are now down.
Okay, so that leads me to a story I'm going to tell you real quick.
Yeah.
So there's one time, okay, so we understand the market was vastly different in the last year and a half, right?
Yeah.
And so I would list a property. Oftentimes I would get well above the list price. And part of my practice is I want to see some proof of funds. If you're going to go well above my list price,
Yeah.
I want to see some proof of funds. Well, to make up a difference if we have an appraisal gap. Sure enough, I get proof of funds in the form of cryptocurrency. I take that document, I file it away because at the time
Right.
I didn't understand. I didn't understand
Right, yeah,
cryptocurrency.
yeah.
It was new to me. So I take the proof of funds, I stick it in the file. We keep moving forward. Sure enough, appraisal issue happened, and the buyer no longer had the money because cryptocurrency is
Yeah.
so volatile. So now they don't have the money to get us to closing. So that was my first lesson learned. I
Oh
will
my
never
gosh.
make that mistake
Yeah.
again. But it is a very volatile.
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
when you align yourself with a financial planner, it's you're going to have it's a long-term plan, right?
Right.
I mean, that's how I understand it to be. Just like real estate,
Right.
it's you're investing in some long-term gain, but you really want to do planning. Have somebody that will counsel you, advise you,
Right.
tell them what your goals are. That's something that now I'm really getting into more of a trench of, what are my goals for, what do I want my big life to look like?
Yeah.
And what do I have to support it? And that's where, so we talked about the young ones, of where they should be having those initial conversations at a young stage of life, but it's not too late. And you can actually, my understanding is you can put more money into a retirement fund the later in life, correct?
Yeah. So to your point, the things that I work with people is not about trying to say, okay, we're going to double your money and we're going to make you all this money. Yeah. It's really about creating, we call it a retirement roadmap. And so we put everything on there and, how much do you want to save? In what account should you do? And really just make it really, really simple for them. And if they're younger, we have a lot of clients that are younger, right? Creating a plan that we can say, hey, if you start now, you can start putting money into these accounts. And then when you are 50 or 60 years old, then you can retire. You don't have to worry if Social Security is not around. But when you're a little older, it's sort of a different ballgame, right? Yeah. The two things that we really focus on for older folks, you're about to retire, is number one, reduce your risk. So be safer with how you invest your money. The S&P 500 is negative 26% of the time. And so if you go into retirement, and you're going to be retired for 30 or 40 years, you're going to have a lot of downturns in the market, right? And so being safer with the money that you've saved, and then also figuring out taxes. A lot of people have money in the 401ks and the SEPs and the traditional IRAs, and those are all going to be taxed when you use it. So creating some tax-free income as well and sort of blending that is really what we do well.
Good to know. So really my message to people, whether they're building wealth in real estate, which is what I help with, helping people, make the right decisions about where to live. And even if it's a primary residence, I still say it's an investment.
Oh, yeah.
It's a large amount of money typically. And so, I do help people, whether it's commercial, residential, buy rental properties, and that parallels to what you're doing as well. But you're creating some more liquidity, in their funds for that stage of life where I'm helping them as well. Either way, they need to have a good advisor to be able to get them to mission accomplished, right?
But it does come to get like what you do and what I do is really similar, because if you think about buying a rental property, right? We have a rental property down in Edisto, pays us a little bit every month. But if you think about, I have clients that will have 4 or 5 rental properties. Yeah. And, guess what? They can retire and they don't have to worry if the market's up or down because they've solved for that income portion, right?
That's right.
That's the most, it doesn't really actually matter how much money you have when you retire. Like you can retire on $500,000, you can retire on $2 million. That's not the thing. The thing is that when you retire, you don't have the income anymore. So you have to create that income in the safest way possible. So either the money you've saved has to generate it so that you can go out and go to the restaurants and go to Azalea Bar and go play golf and not have to worry.
That's right.
Or you have to have, some rental properties and things like that to sort of
help fund it.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I think that, you've created a name for yourself here in Charleston since you've moved from Asheville.
Yeah.
Did you say, 8 years ago or so? You've
Yeah,
got 3
I guess it's
locations.
been like 8 years, yeah.
You got 3 locations, is that right?
Yep, we're opening in January. We're opening one in Jacksonville. And I have a conversation next week with a guy in Columbia.
Okay.
Actually, potentially to buy another practice in Columbia. We're going to, now look, this might not be like January, February, but we will be in Raleigh eventually. So, but our headquarters is literally going to be in Summerville, like half a mile from here, right across from Five Loaves.
Okay.
So we bought a piece of property there, and you can probably see it's going up now. We got the windows in, and so hopefully by I'm hoping by my birthday in July we're in that, and so we'll just keep expanding that out and have these satellite offices around in areas where a lot of people retire, to make it easier for the advisor that's in there.
And then you do a good bit of events, educational kind of events. Talk about that briefly so that we can kind of understand the opportunity that people have to learn.
We do a lot of dinner workshops, and it's good in this area because there's a lot of good restaurants, right?
Yes.
So we're going to do about 70 this next year in 2023.
70 workshops.
About 70.
Wow.
And so what we do is in Summerville we use Oscars, Laura, and Halls, and then in other areas we use Ruth's Chris and other things. But we bring people in and we invite them in, and we'll have 30 or 40 people come in, and I get up and I talk in a very simple, straightforward way about 3 or 4 things that they can do, to fix some problems that's maybe going on with their portfolios. And then anybody who wants to meet one-on-one, we give them an opportunity to do that. And then I leave, and then they get to hang out and eat, and we have the meal comes out, and so it becomes a fun, easy, no pressure way to come out, learn a few things, have a good meal. And we do a lot of business off of those because people really enjoy them.
Well, I bet you do. You're feeding them good information and good food simultaneously.
Yeah.
And I would imagine it builds, versus working with somebody that's remote that you really can't build a rapport and gain trust in because you're face-to-face. This is an opportunity for people to be able to come and meet who they're working with face-to-face. And I'm in a relationship business. You're in a relationship business, right? So people can hire realtors that are remote, that they'll, it's a totally different kind of experience. I say I want to be there forever realtor.
Yeah.
I'm a very relationship kind of driven individual. I like to take in a lot of my clients become friends.
Yeah.
And I know that you do similarly.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So you
some of my clients are like literally my favorite people to hang out with. They come over to the house sometimes, and we just we have some guys that we play golf with and stuff, and it's just a lot of my friends have become clients, but then a lot of my clients have become friends.
Isn't that great? It's a beautiful thing.
It's nice, and probably a lot with your business as well.
Very similar, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you, Kimsey, for being on with us today. Those that are watching, thanks for joining us, and I will see you back in 2 weeks.